So welcome to episode 2 of the GNC Golf Talk podcast with myself, Scott Campbell, the host, and my co-host, James Scurfield. Hi, James.
Hello, Scott. Welcome.
You all right? We're a bit earlier this week, aren't we? We're up in the morning, yes. So it's showing our commitment, if you like.
That's right.
It's been we've done the second episode, first episode, fantastic. Over 2,500 views and listens across the platforms, which is amazing in the first week. So thank you. We urge you that please, particularly the YouTube one, subscribe, and also leave a comment actually to say that you have subscribed, and that'll be the February competition. For everyone that's left the comments subscribed in the comments will be entered into a competition to win a glove and a golf towel of ours. And but this is just two guys, average golfers, talking about their love of golf and some topics, and we hope you enjoy it. Before we get into it, James, I'm going to get straight into it these weeks, but I just want to have a word from our sponsor. So, because we've got our very proud sponsors, Scurfield Associates, and they are Scurfield Associates who help families protect their wealth now and in the future, ensuring their assets passes safely to their loved ones. And for more information, you can check out their website, scurfieldassociates.co.uk, the preservation of wealth specialist, and all the links will be in the descriptions below, whether you're listening to this on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or particularly YouTube. So one thing I want to start, there was a regular feature
okay,
is this week's events, because we're going to do these weekly. Yep. So let's talk about this week's events just briefly. So we've got and first of all, last week's winners, and we're going to just concentrate on the PGA Tour and the Euro PGA Tour. We know that we might get a slate in for, we haven't included the women's golf or the seniors and stuff like that, which we all love and we all watch, but we could end up, this podcast would be like 8 hours long. So we're going to just concentrate on our conversations, if you like, on the PGA Tour and the European Tour. But last week's winner's Patrick Reed, and we might have a conversation in one of our topics about that a bit later. And if you haven't listened to episode 1, the format as this is, me and James choose 3 topics each. We don't know what each is going to ask and talk about, and we just have a conversation about it. But we'll probably talk about Patrick. I should imagine that's on your topics as well. And Paul Casey, my tip for one of the majors this year, and he get back in the winner's circle. So well done, Paul. So this week, James, we've got the PGA Tour goes to the Phoenix Open. Be a strange one this year, because that's normally one where where they got the par 3 on the back, and they get the crowd shouting and drinking, and it's not going to be the same, is it?
No.
But what's quite interesting is the field on that one. So it falls, because in the European Tour you've got the Saudi International this week, which obviously branding wise, money wise for the top players is quite a big thing, really. So there's a bit of a gap. So in the Phoenix Open, we've got, and just to highlight a couple of them, we've got John Rahm, Justin Thomas is back out this week, Xander Schauffele's out there, Rory's over in America, Webb Simpson, who was last year's winner at Phoenix Open, Daniel Berger, I put in there because I fancy Daniel Berger this week for some reason. Brooks Koepka trying to regain his form. Bubba Watson making his first appearance of the year, I think. Ricky Fowler, who will come to my players watching a bit in one of my things. Ryan Palmer and Billy Horschel, Gary Woodland have all been really steady. Louis Oosthuizen, whom I don't know if he's going to, on the sort of teetering on the downward spiral with Oosthuizen, maybe he's got one last Ferrari in front of him. And Matthew Wolff would be interesting, because Matthew Wolff pulled out of last week's tournament after the first round, after shooting 6 over, after damaging his wrist and the thing. So it's be interesting to see if he comes out. Any of them that sort of kind of, I think they've got a chance this week.
Yeah, I think Justin Thomas. Yeah, I think he's going to have a good tournament. And it'd be really interesting to see how Brooks Koepka performs, because he, a bit like Spieth a few years ago, just started taking over, didn't he? And he had that mentality of most of the...
It was injury with him, though, wasn't it? It was an injury that really scuppered him, wasn't it? I feel like I watched a bit of him last week because you're one of the featured groups that I was watching, and I felt like he was trying to push it too much, trying to make it happen, rather than, I think he's got this expectation that he's going to go out and shoot 5 under every round or whatever, and if he's not, if he's not 3, 4 under after the first 9, he starts really pushing it and going for shots. I think that, and starts putting putts like 6 foot past, and stuff like that, and I think there's probably a mental side of him, but like he did a few years ago, where he didn't really. It's almost like he didn't care about the week to week tournaments, but actually prepared for the majors, wasn't it? When he won them sort of 3 majors. So be interesting there. John Rahm with his clubs. It's interesting because we say new clubs, right? With his Callaway, because he's gone from TaylorMade to Callaway. First performance last week was excellent. I think he was like tied 6th or something like that in the end. But interestingly, when they were following him, that they made a remark that they were the clubs that he played with all throughout his junior and when he first come to the tour. So maybe it's not such a big thing like we've seen with other players, like we talked about last week, which when they change clubs, it's almost like he's found an old girlfriend, if you like, that he's rekindled with. So yeah, JT, I think I think Daniel Berger's going to be my outside shot actually in this, but
okay.
If not, John Rahm to continue his form. The European Tour, really international. So we've got the Saudi International, which they're probably teed off already. Actually, the early starters. So we've got DJs over there. He's first event of the year. He was second there last year. He was the winner in 2019. Bryson DeChambeau's out there. Lee Westwood, Justin Rose, Till Hatton, Patrick Reed, Tony Finau, and Victor Hovland have all gone out there. Paul Casey is playing, which is quite topical because a couple of years ago he said he wouldn't play in Saudi Arabia because of the he's an ambassador, isn't he, for UNICEF, and he was quite vocal about the politics and stuff like that and the way they treat people in Saudi. But he's out there this year. He said he's learned a lot over the last couple of years. And then the usual ones, Tommy Fleetwood back still out there, Sergio Garcia, Robert McIntyre, who had a good week last week, Poulter, Shane Lowry, and Andrew Beef Johnston is in the thing, who I don't think will win it, but I'd love to see play well.
I'd love to see him win it. That would be brilliant, wouldn't it?
It'll be awesome, wouldn't it?
Good for golf and good for the fans. He's such a character.
Yeah. But good for the European Tour. Good lineup this week. Really good.
Yeah.
You could almost say that field is as strong or stronger than the PGA Tour. So.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. It'd be great. Imagine seeing Bryson and DJ on the final round, just smashing the ball absolute miles. Because I'm guessing the conditions are pretty warm over there. The ball's going to travel. Ball's going to travel even further. Probably hard fairways. So.
And some players in good form there. Robert McIntyre second last week. Victor Hovland was right up there in the pack. Lee Westwood just plays well out there, doesn't he, in Dubai and that area. He just maybe should live out there because he always plays well in them tournaments. Any of them that jump? I mean, can you see past DJ?
I think DJ. He came second. I remember I watched the round last year. He came second last year, and he won it the year before. But I think him or people are going to all I'm doing is picking the favourites, but I think Bryson DeChambeau or I think Dustin Johnson personally.
Yeah, I'd go with that. I would go with that and love to see. My outside would be.
I'd love to see Beef.
I would love
winning by one.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. I think Tommy Fleetwood's got a chance. I think there's something going to happen. He's either going to happen very soon or probably not happen ever. I think with Tommy Fleetwood.
He's
turning into a bit of a top 10 sort of the European version of Tony Finau almost, isn't he? And I'd like to see Tommy Fleetwood. Yeah. I think he might be my side. Be interested with Bryson because I've been watching a lot of Instagram stuff over the lockdown period, and he's been doing some crazy speed things, isn't he? Trying to hit 100 and 47 miles an hour, and
it's beginning. I've watched a number of clips of him, and it's beginning to almost become like a baseball shot.
Yeah,
where he kind of on the way down, on the way down, he kind of plants his left foot. He's right-handed, plants his left foot, and just smashes the hell out of it.
There was a really good interview I saw with him though, Sean. He was saying about the with Nick Vada of all people on his channel, and he was saying about that he's training for speed, like, and when he's practicing and this thing that he's spent that time with that I can't remember his name, Cole, what was it, the long drive champion. And doing these videos was crazy, trying to build up speed and hitting the ball like 147 miles per hour, stuff like that. It's just crazy. But he was saying about he's training for speed, so that but when he goes out on the course, what looks like it's like super fast and he's going absolutely crazy, but reality for him, it's a lot less than what he's training at. So he's actually training for speed and really pushing it in his training, so that when he goes out and he's still hitting the ball at 120 miles an hour, whatever, really massive, but he still feels in control because he's training at another level above that.
Scott, I think he's hitting the ball speed. I think it's over 200 now, which is just ridiculous. But it's like, I feel sorry for the golf ball, but he's getting his body and all the muscle fibers ready so that his body gets more accustomed to it, which credit to him. And I think when you tee off, you've got to have full commitment. You can't have any second thoughts or maybe I'll just use a 3-wood,
Yeah.
So,
But, cool. Right, so let's get into it. Do you want to, as I've been talking a bit for the first one, do you want to jump into your first topic?
Yeah, okay. So I know last week we spoke about the players that would tee to green. So I thought I would do some research for us and our viewers. And so if I go from year to date this year, now the average amount of rounds that have been played are 18 rounds. Okay.
Well, each player plays an average of 18 rounds a year.
Yeah. So it's been So the top two have played 16, and kind of in ninth and seventh place they've played 28. So on average, there's a kind of like 18 to 20 rounds.
Okay, cool.
And this is tee to green, and in 10th place we have Xander Schauffele.
Oh yeah, I would have put him in there. Yeah, is this PGA Tour then? Is it?
Yeah, this is PGA Tour. Yeah.
Can I have a guess at number one, or?
You can, yeah. You'd be shocked, but go on.
Will I?
Tee to green.
Well, what did we talk about last week? I think I'm not sure if it might not be number one, because I think it might be someone like my head will say Zach Johnson, but I think Tony Finau will be right up there on the back of what I talked about last week.
Okay, so I highlighted Tony Finau. He's sitting in 18th place.
18th. Okay? Oh,
18th place, yeah.
That is a shock, actually.
So we've got Xander in 10th. 9th is Keegan Bradley. Okay. We have in 8th Ricky Barnes. 7 Russell Henley. 6th, my guy JT, Justin Thomas.
Yeah.
5th, John Rahm.
Yeah.
4th, Will Zalatoris.
Yeah.
Zalatoris.
Yeah.
3rd, Dustin Johnson.
3rd. Well, okay.
3rd. 2nd, this might surprise you, Bubba Watson.
Really?
Yeah.
That surprised me. Oh, you know what?
It's unbelievable. And then in 1st place, we were talking about how far he hits the ball. Bryson DeChambeau.
Wow. Mind you, most of his second shots, aren't they, to a green, are like...
Well, most of his second shots are just a small little chip, aren't they?
Yeah, just as...
Which I found fascinating.
That surprised me with Bryson. That is really...
And then if we go back, and then I thought what we'll do is we'll go back to 2020, so year to date.
Hang on, there's some names in there, isn't there, where there must be, like you think, well, they must be pretty poor putters. There's some names up there that are not winning anything, that are not known names, are there? That people go, who the hell is that? They must be pretty poor putters.
And there's quite a big difference. So in 10th place, the average is, Xander is 1.450 T2 and Bryson DeChambeau in first is average is 2.680, which is pretty interesting. And then I thought I'd go back to 2020 year to date. So this is on average the last 60 rounds of golf, which gives us a bit more of a flavour. Okay.
Yeah. So I think on the PGA Tour, I think Paul Casey might make that field then as well.
Okay, so what? Yeah, okay, I'll give you. Yeah, so Rory's in the top 10. Yes. Anyone else you can think of that would be in there?
So I'd go with Schauffele would definitely be in there. I think still. I think.
Yes, you're right.
I would think, even though he's current form, but on that 60 rounds, that Koepka might be in there. No. Who could be up there? So
what about your guy? What about your guy you always rave
Paul
about?
Casey.
Peter Green. No, the other guy.
It's what, Tony Finau?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in there, is he?
No, he's not. He's 11th.
11th.
Yeah. So your stats weren't bad last week, were you? Because you said that you thought that Tita Green he was right up there. You're pretty much spot on. I thought he was way off, but yeah. But a shout out to 13th place, Tyrrell Hatton, which I thought was very impressive.
Yeah.
But the top 10 are Scotty Schauffele.
Yeah.
In 9th, Dustin Johnson.
Okay.
8th, Harold Varner III.
Oh, hang on. If he's over 60, Rose is going to be right up there, isn't he? Because he got to the number 1, didn't he? Is he going to be up there?
No, he's not.
No. Wow.
In 7th, Xander Schauffele, which you're right about. In 6th, Rory McIlroy. 5th, Colin Moraka, is it?
Yeah, Morikawa. Yeah. He's
Morikawa,
the PGA champion from last year, wasn't he? So.
Yeah, good player, isn't he?
Yeah, lovely swing.
Young lad. Yeah. 4th, I didn't know about this, but 4th surprised me, Sergio Garcia.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a surprise.
That is my reaction, yeah. 3rd, John Rahm, which is encouraging to see. 2nd, Hideki Matsuyama.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And 1st, Justin Thomas. So then I thought, my final stat of the podcast, I thought, okay, so Tita Green, they are some interesting characters there. Then I thought...
So Ricky Fowler, it's like Jordan Spieth, Ricky Fowler, because where we talked about Rose with their drop of their form, that's showing in the stats as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it does. I can't remember where they are, but some of them are miles down there.
Yeah.
And then I thought I would compare the pros to us average golfers and greens and regulation, because I remember the last time you and I had a round of golf.
Yeah.
You had one of your best greens and regulations.
I hit 7 greens. I actually record I'm quite nerdy in that. I do record my stats. I mean, you do as well, do you? And I'm normally, I'm even on a good run, I'm normally 3 or 4 greens and regulations, and that day was 7 greens and regulations for me.
Out of the 18.
Out of the 18, yeah. Good pathways.
Okay.
So,
right.
Which is probably, and that probably lent itself to, that was a total correlation with, it felt like, even though it wasn't my best score, it was like one of my best score ever. It felt like my best round ever for consistency. And that's probably showing why, so.
No, good. So this is greens and regulation. Yeah. The average tour score is 67.56, okay, in terms of par. Yeah.
Right, okay.
And on average, there is about, apart from it's a shame the person who's top has only played 8 rounds, but on average, we're talking of rounds of about 24 rounds, okay?
Right.
And this is greens in regulation, and I've got the percentage stats here. So in terms of a percentage out of 100, what do you think we'll go with 10th place compared to first place, greens in regulation? What percentage?
I would think 10th place around 40%, and first place
greens in regulation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's gonna be less then, isn't it? If I look at your reaction.
No.
And I was gonna say
way more.
Really? Okay. So because I think first place will be in the 60s.
Okay, interesting. So in 10th place, the average is 74.44%.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Mind you, they are big greens, aren't they? Like we talked about some of they're big
right.
greens,
and most of their second shots
are wedges.
Are wedges in. Yeah. But and in first place it's 77.78. So
wow.
What my point is in golf is we're all kind of when we play shots that just miss the green or go a little bit long, is to not be too hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
When the pros are playing 8 hours a day practicing, and they have done, it's their career.
Yeah.
And the top of the guys are kind of hitting, they're hitting about on average 75% of the greens, which would mean doing the basic maths, which would mean that they would be out of an 18 hole, they'd probably be hitting 13, 14, maybe 13, 14.
Yeah.
And that's not far off,
And they're hitting they're hitting a wedge where you're probably hitting an 8-iron and I'm hitting a 5-iron. So.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. So it's and I found this, it's not like that.
I always wondered that if you put the size of a green, right, and then you add, say, 10-foot diameter all the way around it.
Yeah.
And then at our level, then you added took that as greens in regulation, so you're in and around the green.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a much more encouraging stat for an amateur at our level to.
Oh, I think that's an interesting point, and I think that we would hit the greens more, so your greens in regulation stats would go up a hell of a lot. But I think we're then more likely 3-putt.
Yeah, so then that would probably force, because where a lot of amateurs think, all right, I've got to start hitting more greens in regulation from 200 yards or 150 yards. Actually, fact, the probably reality is it's probably they're chipping and putting at our level.
Oh, without a doubt. Well, Gary Player has always, when he does these kind of little videos and teaches people and goes to see people, he said an 18 handicapper, I think, was it an 18 handicapper, that if the pro took over from 100 yards and in, would be down to kind of about 3 or 4 handicap.
Wow.
Yeah. It's basically, it is the short game. If you can get up and down. How many times do you see on the pro tour that they drain a putt for par and move on?
Yeah.
Putts, par on average is
they miss the fairway by 100 yards. They miss the green by 60 yards, and then they walk off with a par.
Exactly. Yeah. That's right. It was, and so just to quickly fire through these scores. Yeah. So in 10th is a guy called Justin Suh, S-U-H, Suh.
Yeah.
He's on 74.4. You've got James Hahn.
He can't putt then, can he?
No. 8th, Sam Burns.
Yeah.
Emiliano Grillo. Number 6 is Stuart Sink. 5th, up there, Dustin Johnson. So you can see why he's world number 1.
Yeah.
He's performing really well because all of his stats, he's right up there. 4th, Martin Laird.
Yeah, Laird, yeah.
3rd, Russell Knox.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. 2nd, Matthew N. Neesmith. And 1st, it's a shame he's only played the 8 rounds and they've all, on average, played about 20. But Jim Furyk.
Really? Well, okay.
Yeah, greens in regulation.
Yeah.
So I will, so I thought I'd just share that because I know we were talking about
they back up that when the DJ, you often feel that if DJ's putting well, he's going to win the tournament, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
And that backs it. Them stats back that up. That if he's putting well, my surprise in there is Rory's not up there more, and that might be. I'll save it for one of my topics that we'll talk about, but it might be a lot of his issues, really.
Yeah.
That's really interesting, isn't it? To go back from what we talked about last week. But a lot of people there that people go, you want one next week on the back of that, James, might be putting stats then, because that's probably where we'll see the likes of the people that we're seeing up on the top of the leaderboard up there quite a bit. And
that's exactly right. I'll have that for next week, the putting stats. I didn't want to give too many stats today.
Right. Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Okay.
Right. So my first topic, because you've probably got it on there as well.
Yes.
Patrick Reed incident over the weekend.
Yeah. Now, funny you say Patrick Reed, but you haven't mentioned Rory McIlroy, which
I'm going to come to that because right. Here's the thing.
Yeah. What's your view?
I'm not a fan of Patrick Reed at all, really. Right. So let's get straight.
Explain.
So, and it will come up because of his. This one, I think he's been unduly, if you like, torn apart over, because I don't think he actually did anything wrong. Okay. And if people look at it, Rory did it on the 18th, right? Yes. Sabatini did it on the 15th.
Scott, do you want to explain to anyone that might not have watched the video?
So
do you want to explain what's happened, and then we can talk about it?
On the PGA Tour, it was a bit. It was Torrey Pines, wasn't it? It was a bit wet early in the week, so they had a pick and play option. So if your ball was embedded, whereas I think the rules, the amateur rules at the moment, you're allowed to roll it out of the embed, aren't you? But if it was embedded, they were allowed a club length relief from where it was embedded.
Yeah, and that's also even in the rough, wasn't it?
Yes, that was all. Yeah, particularly in the rough around the course.
Yeah.
So, and obviously, there's a lot less people on the course at the moment than what there normally is to show people what happens. Now you've got to remember, these guys are driving the ball, whatever, however far they're driving it and hitting it. The common thing which I didn't realise, but the pros, if it bounces the ball, it can't be embedded.
Correct.
Is their fault. So if it bounces, it gets embedded. So
it's highly unlikely, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's highly unlikely, just because all the speed and pace has been taken out the ball.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but then I suppose it's like you go into other people's old divot marks and stuff like that. It's hard to tell. I suppose if it's your embed or not.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think of that.
So, because what I didn't see, the couple of times I saw people actually lifting it. Interestingly, what I didn't see them doing is repairing that embed, almost like a pitch market, because they didn't do it because it was in the rough. They just didn't repair it. They just left it. So there's potential of other people landing in other people's ones there. But so Patrick Reed hit a bunker shot near the green, and it bounced. But he said he didn't see it bounce because of where he was in the bunker. He asked his playing partners, they didn't see it bounce. He asked a spotter, did they see it bounce? They said didn't see it bounce.
Yeah.
He lifted it on his own, marked it.
Scott, sorry, did it actually bounce? Do we know yet?
Yeah, it bounced. Yeah, the video shows it bounce. Yeah.
Okay, right.
And then he lifted it and gave himself a fantastic lie and chipped and putted for par, right? Which at the time was a very, for a scrappy hole, it was something that kept him on course for the victory. Okay, so that was what he got absolutely slated for, because what he did is he marked the ball, picked it up, and then called an official over.
Yeah, that's what doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah, and the problem is with Patrick Reed, he's got, which is what I don't like him. He's got a history where he's actually genuinely cheated, if you like. There's no that one in the bunker last year where he puffed away, made his lie so much better. Everyone knows that if you touch the sand in a bunker, you know it. And the amount of sand that he lifted, there's no way he could say, I didn't feel it, I didn't know it. And he's been caught about 3 or 4 times taking practice, putting his ball in a bunker, his club behind the ball in the bunker, doing a practice kind of takeaway, and then stepping off of it and then going back into it, and the lie looks improved. And then there's been some video footage of the actual sand coming off. So because of his history, this is, he's people obviously, but The bit where he was a bit harshly dealt with is that there was loads of incidences of other players doing that where they did the rules where it was embedded and they took it, like Rory's one.
Yeah.
But the difference is with Rory says, I didn't see it bounce. Sabatini didn't see it bounce. The spotter didn't see it bounce. It was definitely in an embedded lie.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is with Rory, with his, if you like, previous on being honest and taking, if you like, worse lies, you know, roughs like that one that he had last year at the, is it the US Open where he gave himself a worse lie because he could get relief from a footprint, but he didn't feel like he felt bad about giving himself a fantastic lie. So he put himself in a worse lie in the footprint than what he could have got. He had a couple of early on last year, a tournament where he was allowed to remove stones from the bunker, and he went to remove a stone, and when he picked it up, he thought it was a stone, and when he lifted it, it was actually a bit of sand.
Yes, I
and
remember
it just crumbled.
That one. Yeah.
And he was completely honest, and he took a 2-shot penalty for that, you know, on the thing. So I think he's honest in before you go, well, okay, you know what, you might have made a mistake there, Roy, but do you know what, you're with Patrick Reed's past,
but Scott,
you're like,
can I stop you? So, but with Rory's ball did bounce as well, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did.
Okay. So the argument could be that neither ball embedded.
Yeah.
But Rory didn't actually call any officials over. I heard him talk to his playing partner and said, "It's embedded. What's the rule?" And the guy responded to, you know, 1 club length.
The same as Sabatini did on the 15th.
Yeah,
you know,
and then he picked. Yeah.
But I think this is the bit where, if you're going to call a rules official over, right, you do it without touching nothing. I think this is a bit where Patrick Reed, I could not understand why he lifted it, you know, asked the spotter, asked his playing partners, lifted it, marked it, lifted it. Yes, it's in my own embedded one. I'm going to take his club level. You know, he actually then called over an official and gave himself an incredible lie afterwards is the bit that's a bit, you know, come on, because no one else called an official over because it was just a general rule, you know.
Yeah.
But if your ball is under right next to a like a fence, you know, an out of bounds fence, and it's unsure where the limit, you know, the line is and stuff like that, you don't, or anything, they don't touch anything, do they? They call an official, they go like, I'm not touching anything until I call the official over.
Well, when I watched it unfolding with Patrick Reed, he knelt down and he had his hands in the rough, touching his ball. Okay. Now we don't know whether he's pushing that ball further in, but and then he called the officials over. What surprised me was then he went in, picked the ball up, and then placed it down by the side, away from him. Now there didn't look like any mud on the ball either, which means it didn't, you know. And then he went back down, and he could have quite easily been pushing his thumbs, and it just doesn't sit well for me.
Yeah.
The person that I feel sorry for, you know, we're all okay, but I feel sorry for Victor Hovland, who came second, finished on 11 under. Patrick Reed won by 2, with shooting 13 under. Now that could have been extra thick lie. He might have just scuffed it out.
But it's also at the time, if he had bogeyed that hole, because coming out of that lie would have been difficult. So if he'd bogeyed that hole, he would have been right in the pack. You know, he was, you know, and it would have been a completely different story, I think, you know. So
it doesn't sit well with me, either of them. I don't think. I think the rule should be the conditions are bad. You know, the balls are going to plug, so you're just going to have to play them as they are. If it's in the fairway, I think if it's in the fairway, because I'm amazed that they're getting drops out of rough. I thought it was only ever when the ball plugged on the fairway that you can clearly see.
Well, I think the amateur rules now, we might have to come back to this next week, but the amateur rules, I believe, are that if it's embedded in the moment anywhere, you can roll it out of there. But I don't understand why they got the club's lengths, is what I don't understand, because a club length for a pro is huge.
But look at the better lie that Patrick Reed had. But I just, for me, I think if I'm watching golfers hitting balls and then moving it where they see, you know.
So
that's not going to look good for that's not going to look for golf in general. I think I just don't like it.
I think this is why,
well
you know, when you've got other pros talking about it,
yeah,
you know, you think you and they see a lot more, you know, there's a lot of you know, there's been a few instances where people were saying about they know other players are saying like cheating with the mark the ball and stuff like that, but they won't name the players. But he's got such a kind of if like his peers don't respect him, you know.
Yeah, but that's irrelevant though. I don't think, you know.
So what can he do? Well, let's just take another way then, right? Let's just let's give him. I mean, it's really hard to, but let's just give him the benefit of the doubt for a minute.
But are we? Did you mention just Patrick Reed because he won, or because he had previous as well? Because
I mean, because of previous. I think this is why it blew up because of his previous.
Yeah, but that's
the fact that he went on to win.
But that's I understand that, and it doesn't give him a great kind of credit, but. You know, that's not fair. And also officially what he did was correct. So let's be clear with that. What he actually did within the rules was correct.
Yeah, if it was the debate is, and he said it himself in his interview afterwards, because the commentary went straight to it, you know, so he must have got a bit like, oh my god, you know, sort of shocked, if you like, because commentary went straight to it. But he actually stated himself that if it bounces, then it's impossible to embed.
Yeah.
But then you're going, so how could it have been embedded? Because it did bounce.
But then
you've seen it bounce.
Yeah. But then what's Rory playing at then as well?
Well, that's what I'm saying, is it someone else's old picture?
What, for both of them?
Well, the problem is with Patrick Reed is the fact that, like you said, that the way he was around the ball didn't sit well with people either. So it wasn't like Rory looked at his ball, marked it, picked it up, looked at the ground, turned around to Sabatini, said it's embedded. What do I do? You know, blah blah blah. Is it a club length? Yeah. And for him, he was like, there was no question. He didn't see it bounce. He asked the spotter, did it bounce? They didn't even see the ball land because they had to find it anyway. So the fact that they had to search for it and couldn't find it immediately made him feel like it didn't bounce. It went straight in. He lifted it. He said it looked embedded line. That was it. But Patrick Reed, you just feel like there's a whole, you know, the way it went round, and also to give you, you know, it's almost like he's had previous, which he was, you know, denied completely, but there's like video footage proving it, and you got his professionals like JT taking the mickey out of him, doing videos taking the mickey out of him, so you know it's true. So, you know, if I was in Patrick Reed's position, I said, look, right, I've got a really crappy lie, but do you know what? I need to win this. Having played that crappy lie, so I can say to people, like, I didn't even take it out. You know, I think it was embedded, but I wasn't sure. It's a difficult one because it doesn't sit pretty in his reaction to it. It feels like one of these little kids, you know, sort of like, you know, when they lie and they actually make themselves believe themselves.
Yeah, but I think that the facts are he did nothing wrong. It just doesn't sit well, and the whole fact that you know, if it went straight in and plugged, fair enough. But the fact that it bounced for both of them, and I just think in future what they should do is they just should have simple rules that if it plugs on the fairway, yes, we can physically see it. Then you get a drop. Anywhere else, you just get on with it.
The thing I didn't understand, he asked him playing his partner who had the same view of him, so he wouldn't have seen it. He asked the spotter who said they didn't see it bounce. The person who didn't ask was the cameraman. You know, it's like,
I don't know if they're allowed. Are they allowed to ask the cameraman? I don't know.
I don't know. They look at, you know, as soon as they get back, they're looking at video footage before they sign their card, aren't they? So I don't know. But yeah, for me, it was a bit about lifting the ball, the way he lifted the ball, and then calling the official, and then giving himself an amazing lie. And I think that's why he wanted the official over to go, because he saw that he could give himself an amazing lie and go, I'm going to call the official over, so it looks like it's all official. So it felt like it was a bit of.
But instead of going on about it, what you're implying is that he cheated.
As you say,
that's what you're saying.
I think he was being just I think
he was cheating. Just say it.
Yeah.
See,
in the spirit of the game, he was trying to get an unfair advantage.
Yeah, I don't think he was, because he was playing by the rules. It just doesn't sit well for me, the whole thing. Yeah, they're pro golfers. They can get out of any position anywhere. It would actually be great to start seeing, it would be great for them to leave the rules, and wherever it plugs, you just play it, so that the pros and the amateurs, we come a bit more together and we can relate to it more. It'd be great to watch more pro golfers kind of thin it across the green, and it goes out of bounds and has to take a drop.
I would like to see as well.
The fact that they're pros and they're getting drops out of rough, I don't like that. I think that doesn't sit well for me. But
it's almost like it's a bit like the even at our level, you see someone doing something and you think, hang on, they're doing that by purpose, or was that, and you kind of lose a lot of integrity of people if you see someone doing something, you think, like,
Imagine, exactly. I remember years and years ago, I used to play with a couple of friends, and one of them, wherever he hit the ball, had a great lie, through trees, and you just think, come on, mate, you're dropping the ball, and it just doesn't sit well with me.
No.
Golf's difficult enough, but you're only cheating yourself. I wouldn't want to be a part of
and the proof of that, I think, is you can tell how his fellow professionals feel about him, and that's not good.
Yeah.
No. Right. That's Patrick Reed covered then. I felt we covered, but very topical. We might have the same conversation every week with Patrick Reed, but
that's his ninth win on the PGA Tour.
Yeah. So, I mean, just very quickly on it, I mean, what can he do to recover this? Do you think he can do anything to recover, or do you think it's kind of...
Who, Patrick Reid?
Yeah, do you think he just tarnished him for...
He couldn't care less, Scott. He couldn't care less. He's not, he's not loved, but he couldn't care less.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for second place, like I said, Victor.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and also, I mean, at that time as well, if he hadn't pulled away 2 shots, then the likes of John Rahm wouldn't have been as aggressive maybe as he was if he had been only 1 shot a level instead of being 2 or 3 shots behind.
Yeah, I know that would.
So, right, cool. Right, your second topic then.
I was going to talk about your mate, Paul Casey.
Brilliant, eh? What a shout that was last week, eh?
What? Yeah. I don't know if you're a betting man, but
used to be, no, not so much nowadays.
I don't know what his odds were on that, but yeah, what a great win he had over in Dubai. Just looking at some things now, that's his 15th win on the European Tour.
Yeah.
Cracking guy.
Over 20-year spell as well, isn't it?
Cracking guy, isn't he? He's got phenomenal forearms. I've never seen forearms like it.
And he's 44, 45 now, something like that. So he's not.
Yeah.
Not spring kicking.
Yeah, but they keep in such good shape, and the lifestyle. You're walking around beautiful golf courses.
Someone carrying your bags.
Someone carrying your bags, exactly. Yeah, the conditions are. It's like playing on carpet or.
That's his mentality on the. I don't know if you watched it, but his mentality on the back 9, even when there were some bits that didn't go right, and his mentality even confirmed for me more that he's got a major in him still. His mentality is brilliant. It's interesting. He's playing that I didn't. When he first come to the scene. You remember he was coming through when the likes of just before sort of Rose and Poulter, wasn't it? And we had that sort of kind of thing, and he was the one that kind of out of the bunch that I didn't warm to. I thought we had a bit of a sort of kind of offish sort of personality.
Yeah, I understand.
And he got that injury, didn't he? Got that really bad wrist injury, wasn't it? Or something he got, and then he seems to have come back, and then he went away, didn't he? So if you like, he just struggled, didn't he? And then he's been on this like 5-year plan with his new caddy and coach, whatever. And,
I think he's a great golfer, and I love his character. And I love his.
He's become one of my favourite players over the last sort of 3 or 4 years, really. And
I think you made a comment last week that you've got him to win one of your majors this year.
Yeah, I had him to. It's in the comments, isn't it? I think I had him to win the US Open. The US Open, I thought he'd win.
You've got him to win the the Open. No,
the British Open.
The Open. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you could be correct. I don't know if he'll win that, but I think he's going to be up there. He's got that winning mentality, which I think is important. We know so many of the golfers that do crumble or do shoot a good fourth round when they're miles off the lead.
The difference is with him. Mentality. I don't think. I think on some of the courses like I think the Masters you can't look past DJ because of he's just got that course now. Although the Masters, the Augusta suits Paul Casey's game, but I think on the difficult courses, if we get like the British Open with a bit of rough weather, I don't think he won't get flustered. For me, I think that's why I think a lot of people struggle with their game because they can't change their game enough to deal with it. I think he'll adapt and do well with that. So I was at one point I was thinking because I think I WhatsApped you dinner over the weekend. We had Tony Finau, who's one off the lead, wasn't he, after round 3 or something like that, or the halfway stage, and Paul Casey was one off the lead the year. So my tips were doing well. Yeah. So do you think how do you think he'll back it up this week in Saudi, Paul Casey?
Oh, I think he'll play well. I think he'll get into the top 10.
I've got the it's interesting. He was really emotional after that win as well, wasn't he? And it's been interesting how he reacts to it this week. You know, it's a bit like Lee Westwood. How does he react this year after an amazing year? You know, does he go, well, I'm going to take the world by storm, or does he go, you know, actually, I've got that win. I'm happy with, I've got my win for this year out of the way, if you like. Be interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's okay.
Right. So, players to watch. I'm going to talk about. Right. Okay. So this is players watch, if you like, from last week. So I made some comments last week about Rose, particularly Rose, Jordan Spieth, and Ricky Fowler, and how poor they were in their world rankings. I mean, 86 for Spieth, Fowler 60, Rose was 38. They've all gone down this week. I think Spieth is now is 91. Fowler went down a couple, and Rose went down a couple. So I particularly watched these 3 players over the week after my sort of kind of comments and views about them last week. It was interesting. So Fowler and Rose made the cut in their respective tournaments. Rose was playing over in Dubai. Spieth didn't make the cut, but we'll come back to him in a minute. Rose was interesting. Rose is not his normal, like we said, his smoothness and whatever. He's just erratic. 3 good rounds, and in the last round, he actually finished 5 over par for his last round in round 4.
Okay.
So went from 8 under to 3 under. And ended up tied 35th for him. Yep. Interestingly, his driving. You talk about driving greens and relegation. His greens and relegation was 61%, but his driving was 51%. And I think that's
well off, isn't it?
You would all day of the week you would say Rose is a 3 out of 4 for every drive. So and his driving was erratic compared to what it normally has been. So surprised. I think he's on the cusp, Rose. I think he's on these. He's a very thing to find that smoothness, and he's obviously working on some things. Fowler was an interesting. So Fowler made the cut on Torrey Pines, but he finished just a couple off the bottom in the end. And just looks. I mean, I know you don't rate him, but probably calls that, but he just looks. It just looks off the pace. He was hitting, missing big greens by a big margin, or, he was going in with wedges and still having 40, 50 foot putts, and he's tinkering with his putting, which he was always quite a good putter. And
excellent putting. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was just looked, just like he couldn't hold a putt, and then he's got these clubs which are now, I don't know if you've seen them, they're like copper, so he's got this thing with orange, isn't he?
Yeah.
so he's got his clubs which are like got a copper finish to make them look like they're orange.
But one thing I've always found interesting is he loves to wear orange on the final day of a tournament. Okay.
Yeah.
But I find it, he's not like Tiger that's won. What has he won? 83 tournaments and 15 majors, is it?
Yeah.
15 majors. Yeah. He's not at that level. So I think psychologically, and I'm no psychological expert, but I think he should not wear the orange on the final round, because that, by wearing the orange, that shows me that you're not going to get the job finished.
Yeah.
Yeah. And subconsciously, by wearing the orange, you're not going to get the job finished. So don't do that,
After what, you think like it's not working, change something, maybe. But also,
get rid of orange.
Someone close to him, I think, needs to say to him, his club's interesting. So Rick Shields did a video with playing with his clubs or testing his clubs out. We're saying how unforgiving they are. It's almost like just go to a game, like a game improver set. Give me a set of Callaway X-irons from the old day.
A lot of hybrid irons.
Yeah, something like that. I think he might do better. I think I think he's on the cusp of really struggling, Fowler.
Okay.
The Spieth is interesting. So the Spieth is one where I've got the question, right? So Spieth was he's fighting his swing. I mean, he had in his last he missed the cut, but he was 3 under going into the back 9 of the second round. The cut was 1 under.
Yeah.
And he finished level par, but you can say, he was unlucky, but tough back 9 and stuff like that. But the way he performed, the lack of confidence was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And his driving stats are something.
But you get
28% or something like that.
You understand, don't you, though? Because they're all at such a high level.
So someone has done that. He's lost his confidence. I mean, his stats level, I think it was 28% or something like that. His driving accuracy, which is ridiculous. He had 4 in that second round. He had 4 drives on the front 9, which he completely lost to the left where he was trying to cut. He was trying to cut them. So just they call it a crossover, don't they? Where you just flip your wrist and you
double cross, yeah.
He double crossed it. Yeah. And they were huge, and it was almost like a bit like I said last week, where he's hitting the ball, not knowing where it's going to go. He's coming up short. He's driving short, and he's putting.
That's not a nice feeling, is it?
No,
that's
it's not.
A nice feeling.
And he's putting. And he had some good shot. He had an eagle on the front 9, but then bogeyed the next hole. But you think, that will get him into gear. That will get him going. But his confidence looks absolutely shot. He looks like on the greens, you just think, wow. And the way his whole demeanor. So what does he need to do? Does he need to keep playing? If you're like, even at our level, sometimes you think like, oh my God, I'm going through a crap time.
Can I answer your question?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. So I think personally, what he needs to do is he needs to go to what feels comfortable, and from what feels comfortable, look at the results, the stats, and then that's your kind of that's your balance stick, or that's your kind of gauge. What feels good, and where am I most consistent? Because I think too many of them, once they get to a really good level, but it's a bit like it's like us as well. We do try and think, right, what can we just tweak to go that next level now? And I think sometimes, like we discussed last week, sometimes I think, you're playing your best golf at the moment. So am I, although I need to get a few more rounds in with this new grip change.
Don't we all?
Yeah, good point. But don't change too much. And I think too many of them, I don't know if it's a focus on, does it look good on the eye? Is that what they're trying to do? They're trying to make it look even better on the eye.
I think he's just trying to find, watching him closely on that. It was one of the featured groups over the weekend, so got to literally watch his whole 2 rounds, if you like, and particularly the second round. And I mean, you look at his swing and you think, well, okay, it's not, they don't look like there's a massive problem there, obviously.
It's fine margins, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's what does he do? Does he just try? I mean, you think like if you're working on your game, you want to make the cut, don't you, to get them 4 rounds in a competitive thing. I think one good tournament for him is what so I would just keep playing if I was him, but I would almost not practice. I would just go out and play.
Yeah, you're not a big fan of practicing, are you?
Well, no, I do practice. I started last year. Funny enough, I started spending more time like before the round, if you like, getting into. But
what you don't get there a minute before teeing off, run up and tee off. No, like we all seem to do.
I've been a lot better like that. But I don't. He's not going to find in practice. Like if you're hitting every ball dead straight, it's different, isn't it? On the I would almost say to him, play. The problem is you can't. He's where he is now. He's at risk of losing his card, isn't he? This year. And then you look at the level. He can't not play golf. I don't think.
Yeah, he'll be all right in life, but like I said, I think you need to go back to what feels good and then look at the data. We've all got different body shapes, different swings, different ways we feel the ball, and even in our head, how many times have you thought you swing a certain way, and then one of your mates has videoed you, and you're like, oh my God, is that how I swing the club? But it doesn't look like that from, and it's such a hard sport because you're not facing the target. You're facing away from the target, hitting the ball either to your left or to your right. That's why it's so kind of, that's the beauty of it. We're constantly seeking that perfect round, that perfect feel. You're never going to feel, sometimes we wake up, don't we, and we feel stiff and like we've never swung a club before. Other times we feel we're going to go over and shoot our best round and double bogey the first and think, oh, okay, not today. So we're all
sometimes
humans,
you think like don't play golf for a few weeks, and then you come back and you're really dying to play. But I don't think he's not in a position he can do that where he is in the rankings.
Yeah, and I think I don't know at that level, but just go out and have fun.
Yeah, go and play with mates.
Yeah.
So I think looking at time, one more topic from you.
Yep. Okay.
Have you got another burning one?
Yeah, I have. I'll stick to what I had because I think it'd be good for us to talk a bit more about us, coming back to us for golfers. So currently at the moment, or over the last few rounds, what do you find has been your hardest shot to play? Where you think, when you think in your head, oh God, the ball's here and it's this distance, or this is. Keen to know what yours is.
So my one, and I think a lot of people relate to this, is that the sort of 10 yards, 15 yards off the green in any direction, but in what has been the muddy lies, like the winter lies, chipping on them, because I actually, I really enjoy the kind of the challenge of a short game and around the green stuff like that. But it's like even our last round, my 2 double bogeys come from, or my 3 double bogeys all come from being, long holes where I was up around the green and in good positions, thought fine, chip on, 2-putt, walk off with a bogey, awesome. But they all come from sort of half muddy lies, and that winter lie, and then I just fluffed 2 and then.
So
that one's 20 foot past,
Yeah. On average, what club are you choosing for that shot? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I had 3 different clubs because it didn't go right. So the first one I was quite confident in that because it was the very first hole and I was quite confident. I thought, I'm not normally this close to this guy. Yeah. And then and I put it I just duffed it and then put the next one 40 foot past or whatever. But the that one I took my trusty rusty that I like, and I thought I'd just pick it off.
Which is what? Explain to the viewers.
My gap wedge.
Your gap wedge,
52, which I really like around the green because I can play it. And then, so I tried that and just
Didn't work.
Fluffed it. The next one.
Did you use, when you fluffed it, did you stick with the gap wedge and go again?
Oh yeah, because I just hustled and you monkey, and they're just slapped on the back. And that's why I went 40 foot past. But I realized I should have just taken my thing, take my time. And then the second one, I can't remember what hole, but similar situation. And I think it was the ninth hole, which is really annoying because I hit a really good 5-iron just off the green. I thought, oh, brilliant. And then I took a hole, and then I think I took a 56, I think, for that one.
56.
Yeah, because of what happened last time. So I thought if I just
in these muddy conditions, okay, carry on.
Yeah, I know that's hard problem, and I think and the last one, I took an 8-iron, but gave it too much welly.
Okay.
Now, interestingly, all the other shots where I was probably 5 yards closer to the green, and just off the green by 5 yards, I was actually taking. I like taking my 9-iron for them shots. So I took my 9-iron a lot of time for them, and they worked out quite well. That was working quite well for me. But it's them 15 yards muddy lie. You're not on a fairway. You're not in the rough. It's a bit of nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
Similar, same. What for you?
So that's so those type of shots, at the moment with the conditions, I only really would use. I wouldn't go any further down than a pitching wedge, because it's just so difficult to time it perfectly, commit throw, get the ball to stop. I think just keep it simple. Do almost like a slightly extended putting action. But my hardest shot at the moment that I struggle with is that 70-yard shot. Now it's basically, for me, it's the lob wedge goes about 60. So then we're into the sand wedge type of
I think we talked about this last week, but you haven't got I
don't have a gap wedge. So
you've got a pitching wedge and then a lob wedge, and that's it.
No, I've got a pitching wedge, a sand wedge.
Yeah.
And a lob wedge. Okay.
And how many clubs do you carry in your bag at the moment?
10,
you haven't got
11.
a driver in your bag, have you? You haven't got a driver.
No, I don't have a driver.
You got 3-wood, 5-wood.
Got a 3-wood, 5-wood, 3-iron, 4-iron.
Yeah.
I don't have a 5-iron anymore. That broke. I've got a 6-iron.
Broke. Right, 6-iron.
Yeah, I tried to punch it out of a tree years ago and it snapped and just. So I've got a
All right, 6-iron, 7-iron.
7-iron, 8-iron, 9-iron.
Wedge.
Pitching wedge.
Sand wedge.
Stand wedge.
Lob wedge.
Lob wedge.
Putter.
Yeah.
So you've got 2 clubs you can take.
Okay. Yeah.
Well.
So I should
tell your girlfriend what you want for your birthday.
I should. Yeah. Valentine's is coming up, isn't it?
Yeah. Gap wedge. Perfect Valentine's present.
Yeah. Okay. Take it to bed. Anyway, So
how far do you hit your lob wedge?
60 yards, full swing, 60.
Would you use that on a full swing? Do you ever use your lob wedge on a full swing?
Yes, but not at the moment because the conditions. It's just it's too hard to commit. It's the typical shot that you take all the ground and the ball goes 10 yards. So I'm finding that difficult, and the reason for that yardage is because it's almost like it's not a half swing, it's not a full swing, it's that 3/4 swing, and it's gauging that feel and commitment.
Yeah,
because there's too much of a gap from it could land. There's like a 15-yard gap where it could land. It could be really short or slightly long.
Ironically, I found that distance is where I've improved my game because rather than like longer par 4s, rather than trying to hit a 3-wood or 5-wood as hard as I possibly can to try and get somewhere near the green, I've been happy leaving myself 70 yards, 80 yards, 90 yards back between that 70 yards. I normally look at that. You know the 100 markers. I normally look for 100 markers on the courses.
Okay.
And then I'll try and hit to that now. And that's what I was trying to do, if you like, the last sort of 4 or 5 rounds before lockdown, was hit towards that 100 marker on the long par 4s. If I feel like I can't get to the green, hit towards the 100 marker, because if it just goes past that, then I know I'm in. For me, gap wedge, like for me, a smooth gap wedge, a bit like the was it the par 3 at the Blake's we was at, which was like, it was just because it was on the front tee, it was only 80 yards, wasn't it? And that for me was I knew that was just my smooth gap wedge, and that was it, so
so for me, that 70-yard shot at the moment is the sand wedge, but it's, I hit the sand wedge about 100 or just shy of 100. So it's that kind of 3/4 sand wedge shot that you need to commit, but you don't want to kind of fully commit.
The bit I don't like using my sand wedge from that distance is I find that it's easier to blade at our level, and if you blade it, you're in trouble. You're going.
Yeah, or you take too much ground and it goes. So that's
why I like my gap wedge, because I think
I find that hard.
The gap wedge hasn't got the same bounce of whatever it is at the bottom of the. Obviously getting technical, but it hasn't got the bounce of the thing. So it's a lot. You can get away. I find it a lot easier or it's going to be a lot harder to fin my gap wedge than it would to fin my sand wedge.
Yeah. Okay.
If anything, the worst, I always find that if I'm going to be there, I'm going to be just come up a little bit short, if you like, if I don't fully commit to it, rather than being long. So
yeah. Okay.
So what's your outcome? Are you going to buy yourself a gap wedge? Is that what the?
No, it's a shame we've gone through the third lockdown, because I want to, and I'm going to treat myself to some new clubs, but I want to go out and test them.
Yeah. That's
the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
I could buy something off the shelf, but I want to have them custom fitted and made, because they're going to.
Well, I went through that spell. I mean, we could probably talk about this next week, maybe. But the time of but I went through custom fitting.
Why don't we?
With all and it was, a bit obviously a shower. It's all good, but the just the experience and the learning around your clubs.
Yeah. Okay.
Was better.
You make me laugh. Just your little shout outs. Why don't we talk about clubs and equipment next week?
Yeah, that'd be a good topic.
Let's do that.
Yeah, we've covered a lot. So awesome. So let's have a look. So first of all, comment in the say please like, subscribe, wherever you listen to this. It'll be available on YouTube, it's available on Spotify. Or don't
if you don't like it.
Tell me how you think the beer's going. It's a kind of
part of it. Trimmed it, yeah.
Trimmed it, but kept 2 lockdowns over. But and remember to subscribe. If you comment on the YouTube video, if you comment, subscribe. If you subscribe, comment, subscribe, then you get put in the February draw to win the gloves and the towel.
Brilliant.
Awesome.
Thank you very much, Scott.
Welcome. Have a great episode.
Pleasure as always. We could have spoke all day, couldn't we? But I've got a meeting at 10.
Yes. Yeah.
Back to
then up an 18-hour podcast. Yeah. So, but we'll be back next week as well. So we're gonna commit to doing these weekly. And,
looking forward to it. It's good. If anything, it's good to just see you and have a catch up, Scott.
Absolutely. Maybe next week we'll talk about each other's clubs and have a bit of banter around it. And
I think so.
Yeah, especially your clubs. I think I've got loads of.
The Rag and Bone Man wouldn't take mine, would they? But like I said last week, I still beat you with it.
All right, okay, we'll leave that to next week. Anyway, on that note, we've got to go, so we can hear the.
Take care.
Okay. Cheers, James.
Stay safe, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.